Allie.
Hello, Melissa. Welcome to Liverpool, USA. This is a best friends podcast. We are best friends. And what are we talking about today?
We are talking about the 1975's second album, I Like It When You Sleep, for You Are So Beautiful, Yet So Unaware of It.
And what a title, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I remember when it was announced, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess. Like, it's really long, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, okay, I was looking at the Wikipedia
hmm
page for this album like before we started recording, and like the list of genres that it like lists for this
Oh,
album.
yeah?
And one of the genres that it lists as like what this album is pop punk. And I was like,
I don't know about
is
that.
it?
Well,
I
because,
mean,
wait a second. Yeah, no, that doesn't, I don't think that makes sense to me.
no, and that's what I was thinking. And then I was like, you know what? The only pop punk thing that they did on this album is name a freaking song. I like it when you sleep, for you are so beautiful yet so unaware of it.
Yeah,
Because like the long weird title, that is a pop
that's a
punk
pretty
thing.
pop
But
punk thing, yeah. Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know. I don't know if it's a pop punk album.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's interesting. I'd like to hear the person's perspective who decided that, like who put that on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah,
Like, what was your thought process? I just want to know.
yeah. Explain.
Yeah.
Show your work.
What were do you have the other genres? What does it say the other, like the list of genres is?
Yeah, let me look.
Because I'm curious now. It's really interesting. I do know that it was released because like I had that as a note, like when, because I wrote
Hmm.
these notes a while ago, like before we
Yeah.
saw them last year.
Yes. Yeah. It was a while ago for sure.
Yeah. And so it was released February 26th, 2016, so it just turned 7?
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah, that feels wild.
Yeah. February 2016 was before I graduated high school.
It was after I
um.
graduated, but it was. Oh, hold on. I'll wait so you can say, do you have like the genres up?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah. Um. So the genres: electronic, pop, R&B, new wave, indie rock, dance rock, pop punk, soul.
Okay. Maybe if you like put all of those together in like a cauldron and mix it up, I get that. I
Yeah.
think I get that. Yeah. They didn't
Yeah.
put vibes.
Right. Yeah.
I would also put that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Sorry. What I was gonna include, because you were talking about that this was released before you were in high school or before you graduated high school.
Yes, I was in high school.
Yes, you were in high school. But this was released after I graduated high school, because I graduated in 2015 and I was already a big fan of them, so I was like in college, and I remember it because it was very like formative for me specifically, because I was very deep
Yeah.
into loving the 1975 when this came out, and I actually saw them, so it was a couple months after I saw them for the first time, which was in December 2015. And
Hmm.
it was in, I didn't realize at the time how awesome of an opportunity it was, because it was at the Roseland in Portland, which was smaller than venues that they typically played even at the time. Um,
Hmm.
and we got tickets like secondhand, and it was, like it was kind of like a whole thing to get them, and it was super cool. And I saw them play some songs from this album, but it was before it was released, and I remember seeing Love Me and Ugh. They were both released as singles right before this concert, like right before I saw them. So I
Okay.
didn't really know them, I don't think yet, but I remember
Hmm.
seeing them live. Like before the album was released, and I think they played a couple other songs, I think, from this album before it was released too. So I'm like, wow, I had actually like a super cool exclusive experience, actually, because I like heard a bunch of these songs, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
okay, that makes me feel cool. And it was an amazing show. It was I've seen them 3 times now.
Mm-hmm.
as you know, because we just saw them late last year.
Together.
And
Yeah.
the first 2 times I saw them, I cried like a baby. Like, I don't even know why, but it was like cried more than I've cried at any other concert ever. I mean, I kind of know why, because it was to songs that were, very like cry-esque, but it
Yeah.
was just very, yeah. Yeah. I almost did when we saw them uh late last year, but not quite. Not quite.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the 1975 were formative to me too. When we've talked about like favorite albums of all time and
Yeah.
favorite bands of all time, like the 1975 have been a common like appearance on both of those
Mhm.
lists for both of us. And I really do like the 1975 a lot. This album happens to be my favorite of all of their albums.
Mm. Yeah.
And yeah, I remember when it came out. I was already a fan of them from the first album when this came out. And I remember listening to the singles as they came out and listening to this album when it came out and being like, "Yep, yeah,
Yeah.
this right here, this is what I'm into."
Yeah. Yeah. This is
Um
either my first or second. Like, definitely their first and second albums rank like first and or second, like, for my favorites of theirs.
yeah,
Yeah,
for
and this one
sure.
definitely has songs that are contenders for my favorite songs by them. Like, individual
Yes.
songs. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that's why this one, like, maybe the first album is better overall as an album. I guess I can't say if I think that or not, but
Mhm.
I definitely this album has more songs that I would consider in my top like
Okay.
favorite songs by the 1975, which is why it's my favorite album by
Yeah.
them. Um, but yeah, I guess today we kind of thought we'd go sort of through not maybe I mean it does have 17 tracks, so maybe we won't
Yeah.
go through like every single
I
thing.
have notes on every single song. I listened to this a while
Okay.
ago. Like I said, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it we don't have to like go like super into detail on all of them, but I do have this a little note on my phone with something
Yeah.
about every single song. So,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I could definitely talk about most of these songs, I think.
Yeah.
Um I did like obviously listened to this full album multiple times.
Mhm.
So I definitely I definitely like have thoughts about all of these tracks. But yeah, I'll try to keep it as brief as is reasonable for the two of us.
Yeah. Okay, so shall we get into it then?
Yeah.
Okay, intro track The 1975.
I know we talked about this recently. I don't even remember what the context was,
Yeah.
but every album by the 1975 starts with a track called the 1975.
Mhm.
And sometimes there's like a lot of overlap between different tracks called the 1975 off the different albums, and sometimes they're really different vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, in the
Um,
beginning it was like pretty much the same thing, like same lyrics, same vibe, but slightly
yeah,
different vibe. Yeah. I remember thinking when I heard this, like the notes that I have uh that I wrote down, all that I really wrote about was that, like, I remember when I heard it and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." So it's the same thing, but it's like the vibes are different to match this album. Like, it's the new era. It's like the same band,
yeah,
new era. Like, okay, so this must be it was like, okay, so this must be a trend now. So I see what they're
mhm,
doing. This must be their thing. Because before this, there was only one track called the 1975, and now there's two.
right,
So it was like establishing a pattern.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I remember when I heard this album for the first time, I thought it was very like I don't know, maybe cool is the right word. Like I thought it was
Mm
like, oh, they're like doing something artistic
hmm. Mm hmm.
by like making this track be called the same thing and like make it be like kind of the same, but it's like a different, you know, to match the overall character of this album. Like it felt very like and this is I think how I feel about this whole album. It felt kind of like sophisticated in a certain way where it was like, "Oh, I'm doing something on purpose to like be, to like create an album, to create like a discography.
Yeah, I think I get that. Yeah.
And the more I look back on it a little bit, I think it's more that I don't know, I think it is kind of self-aware. Like I think a lot of the stuff in the 1975 discography and specifically on this album is like funny.
Yeah.
Like they're doing, I don't know, they're kind of like playing a character, you know?
Yeah, like somehow a character, but also becoming self-aware. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
it's on purpose,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And it's a choice. And yeah, I can appreciate a choice, you know?
Yeah.
Um Love Me, the first single.
Yes. Which is I wrote so I don't know. I love a lot of songs on this album, but I think that this one is my favorite one on the album.
It really could be my favorite one on the
Yeah.
album too. There are a couple other ones on this that like get to me in a really different way.
Yeah.
Um, because this song is just like so fun.
Yeah. It's like it's an all-time fave of theirs for me, for sure. And
Same.
I
Oh,
remember thinking, have you seen
same.
the music video?
It doesn't come to. I'm sure I saw it at the time,
Yeah.
but it doesn't like come
I remember
immediately to my brain.
watching it when it came out, and I don't watch a lot of music videos for whatever reason. I really should. Um, but I remember when it came out and I watched it and I just thought it was very quirky and fun and just like kind of crazy. Um, and
It's funky,
sure. It's what?
funky.
Oh, funky. The mic like did a weird thing, so it sounded like you maybe said funky, like but without the F. And I was like, don't know what that means, but I'll just
Oh,
I'll just go with it. Yeah, I think
it's
funky
groovy.
is a good word. Yeah. And I have like from what I remember from this as well is when I saw them at that same show, like my first show, a bunch of people were waiting at the back of the venue, like behind the gate where the bus was, for the band to come out, and like maybe sign something or whatever. And so I was like, okay, sure, I'll wait. And we waited out there for so long. Like our mother is just so
Yeah.
amazing that she did this stuff with us and for us, and we waited out there for so long that some people even started to leave, I think. And then his I think it was like his like security guard guy or someone who was British, because I remember he had an accent. And so it was like someone like with the band, and he came out, and underneath his coat, because we were like right up against this like iron like fence, like um and so there were like people behind us, and so I was pretty much right at the front. And he came out and he's like, hey, so the band, like, they're not gonna come out to like visit tonight, they're like really tired and they're just like not feeling it, so they're not gonna come out, but I have these pictures that they just signed, or it's not all of them, it's like a few of them. And so
Mhm.
he's like, I have just a few of these, but he like wasn't being loud about it because he only had like a handful, he didn't have a ton. And so he handed a few people them, and I got one, and I still have, it's actually hanging right now downstairs. I still have it framed, but it's a
Mm,
picture like from this music video shoot. It's like this one, so I have that. But
mhm.
that's like a memory that I think is cool. Um,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I remember thinking that the lyrics to this one were really interesting, because they are,
Mhm.
and that it
Oh, they
was
for sure
like,
are.
yeah, and it being like the second song on the album, like the first, like, new, real, unique individual track. It was also interesting because their first album, well, maybe that's not true. I was gonna say, like, I feel like their first album has more songs that are more about, like, I don't know, like romantic relationship related, kind of. I mean, there's like
Okay.
Chocolate, which is not about a romantic relationship, obviously, but like, I don't know. Just
Yeah.
to me, like, the vibes of the first one is more about like love and stuff. And this song is called Love Me, of course, but if you like listen to the lyrics, it's not about like a romantic relationship. Um,
No, no, it's about like his like rise to fame and like the fans loving him.
yeah, so I thought that was really interesting because it was a different, like, I don't think there's any track on their first album that has anything to do with that. It's kind of like It was a
think so.
different, it seemed like a different kind of vibe and like different lyrically, but I thought it was super cool. I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love, and I think this will be something that we talk about a lot as we go through this album. I love the lyrics on this album
Yeah.
because they aren't, I don't know, I feel like they're very clever. I
Mhm.
feel like they're very like well written, just in terms of like tackling like interesting topics in an interesting way, but also like they're funny. Like I already said that, but like there's things in like a lot of the songs that are like very like quirky and funny and like kind of, like sarcastic, which I feel like is very indicative of Maddie Healy's like
Yeah, it like makes
personality.
sense. Yeah.
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 Um yeah, anyways, I like this song a lot. It
Yeah, a lot.
it definitely could
It's
be one of my
groovy, it's funky, it's
yeah.
just got that groove. Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, pretty similarly, Ugh, the next track,
Yes.
it does a lot of
I
the same things.
also love this song. And it's like it's so much to have this one right after Love Me. It's like please calm
Mhm.
down. There's too many bops. I can't handle all the
Yeah.
bops all at once.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like when you listen to this album, when you hear Love Me followed by Ugh, you're like, "Oh my god, this album is freaking,
Yeah.
17 tracks long. Like, is
Yeah.
this what it's gonna be like the entire time?"
Yeah. But
Um,
like in a good way.
in a good
Cause
way,
it's
yeah.
really good.
In a like, oh my god, Maddie Healy.
Yeah. Yeah, I love his the note that I wrote here is at this point I was thinking I love his vocals on this album because this like Love
Yeah.
Me and Ugh, they're both very like almost like yelly-esque. You know, they're very
Hmm.
like loud and like dramatic, I guess. I don't know, but his vocals
Yeah.
already are like awesome. Love it. Yeah.
This song, I don't have like a ton to say about specifically, just because I do think it does a lot of the same things that Love Me does. Like it's quirky, it's funny, the lyrics are like interesting. Like
Mhm.
they're written really like well in a like sarcastic tone, in a like kind of funny tone. I don't know. I guess I'm running out of words to like describe what I
Mhm.
mean, I guess. But
But
like
I get it. Yeah. I think I get it. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's he kind of like is in character. When he's like on stage, he's in
Mhm.
character, and when he's writing the songs, he's like in character, if that makes sense. And maybe that character is literally just who he is.
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of funny. Yeah, it's like thinking about what is he just like? You know, what is he
Yeah.
like when he's not on stage or in the studio? And it's like, is he just like this?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Because you meet people in your life who just are like on all the time,
mm-hmm,
like they just are like quick-witted all the time.
yeah,
And I feel like Matty Healy is like that, or at least he's like that in his music, where he's
yeah,
just like on all the time. Like he's
mm-hmm,
constantly like saying the like, quick, like turn of phrase that you've like never thought of before.
yeah, uh-huh, yeah. I like to think that, yeah, yeah, yeah. But this
Um,
is a fave. Speaking of quirky, I guess is a word you can use. I think a
mhm.
change of heart continues in that direction of it's
I
like yeah, like kind of funny, you know?
I absolutely love
Yeah.
this song.
I used to know it
Um,
on piano.
oh my god.
Yeah.
Um, the little like synth like
Yeah.
melody thing.
I literally can imagine it in my head right. I'm not going to sing it cuz I know I will butcher
Yeah,
it, but like I can just
it
imagine it in my head.
it replay. So like I listened to a lot of the 1975 right before we went to see them, because
Mhm.
um
Of course, yeah.
we were going to see them. So I
Mhm.
listened to them like a lot, and I only heard this song. Like this song used to not really like stand out to me as much,
Mhm.
but something about like the last time I really did a 1975 like deep dive, which was like, right before we went and saw them, it like stuck in my head, and I was like, oh my god, what is that song that's like da 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 da, and then I
Yeah.
would be like, oh my god. And so then I played it like a lot of times because I just kept like having it in my head and being like, I need to listen to
Yeah.
that song.
Mhm.
And then like the lyrics really like grew on me. um there's like a lyric where it's like, I'll quote on the road like a twat.
Yeah.
That really speaks.
Yeah, yeah. It's that self-awareness that we were talking about. It's that kind of like quirkiness, like kind of silly, but like serious at the same time. Yeah. Oh, and this also
Yeah.
has uh I'm like trying to think of all the lyrics. Doesn't this song have a throwback to a lyric on the first album?
Oh,
Yeah,
it
you used to be a
might.
girl straight out of a magazine, now you just look like anyone, or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because the first album was she had a face straight out of magazine. Yeah.
Yeah, you're so right.
Yeah. So
Oh my god,
first album to second album, we already have like an arc here. We have a character arc.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. Um yeah, I love this the verse in this album, or in this song, that's like, you were coming across as clever, then you lit the wrong
Yeah.
end of your cigarette,
Yeah.
and then it's like, you took a picture of your salad and you put it on the
Yeah.
internet, and he's just like roasting this woman.
Right.
But
Yeah.
like, I get it though, like, I am
Yeah.
her, you know.
It's that, I mean, I've said it before and like I'll say it again in a different way, and I don't want to it also sounds like I don't want to boost this man's ego, but hear me
Yeah.
out. Like cuz he doesn't need it. But it's like what we were talking about. It's like it's painting a scene. It's artistic. It's like silly, it's quirky, it's
Yeah.
self-aware, it's commentary. It's very subtle, but it's definitely kind of like a metaphor. Like of like the
Yes.
like taking pictures of your food to put on Instagram, trend or whatever. Like it's totally speaking to like that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes. No, it's so clever, and it's like, yeah, it is so like, I suppose, on the nose about like the things that he's like observing in
Mhm.
the world, and like what is interesting to talk about, and what is interesting about the way people are changing, and you know yeah, and how he's interacting with people now that he's famous, and how, just how he's interacting with people like in a romantic way, or in a,
Yeah, yeah.
in
And
in a
maybe
power
how like
dynamic way.
yeah, maybe now how like women are reacting to him now that he's famous, how he's how he's seeing that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um yeah, anyways,
Yeah.
I love this song. It
I
really
do,
like
yeah.
gets caught in my head. I love
This
the lyrics of this song.
yeah. This like maybe this album maybe has just like a lot more faves than I even thought cuz this
Yeah.
it's like again, this one. Yeah.
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 I am looking at the bottom of this. I'm like reading the lyrics on something right now. And there's a little note that said, yeah, this song incorporates lyrics from three older tracks.
Oh,
The City, Robbers, and Sex all have lyrics in this song.
I think I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, so very, very interesting that
Mhm.
yeah, that they, because it's like, yeah, he's having a change of heart, he's
Mhm.
like, that was the past, this is the
Yeah.
future,
Yeah, it's
you
like
know.
this was very cuz I feel like this song is very like oh, I was, very kind of Twitter pated and romanticizing a lot
Yeah.
of these things and now I'm like seeing this woman kind of in a different way now that I've,
Yeah.
been through whatever I've been through or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
lights came on.
Mhm. Yeah.
She's American is also a hilarious song.
This is
I
like the pinnacle of the creative and amusing, like the amusing part of the album,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that the whole opening of this album is like ironic,
Mhm.
kind of. It's like it's all this like ironic humor, like, and but like it doesn't like sonically, it's not really like sounding like goofy necessarily. Like
No.
it's all
Mhm.
like, just if you like really pay attention to the lyrics, then you like
Yeah.
get that it's all kind of like a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um I was playing She's American in the kitchen the other day, and Abe like had, he doesn't really like know a lot of songs by the
Mm.
1975, so he was just like kind of like grooving, and then he was like, "Wait, what did he just say?"
Yeah.
And I feel like, yeah, that's like the pinnacle of this song. Because there's a part where it literally says, if she says I've got to fix my teeth,
Yeah.
she's so
Yeah,
American.
it's playing on like American stereotypes, British stereotypes, all these things like that make it kind of funny, yeah. And also,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just now realizing, I wonder if you can understand more of the lyrics on this album than the first one. Cuz it's like a thing that
Oh,
you can't understand a
absolutely.
word he's saying.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
first album, it's like impossible to tell
Yeah.
like what this one you definitely can. I feel like, the arc of Maddie Healy is, becoming more enunciated.
Yeah. But also somehow, I don't know. I feel like the newest era is a bit incoherent, but
Yeah,
that's another yeah. Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
Um yeah. No, I think it's really funny to hear American stereotypes the way you would talk about, or I guess we would maybe hear Americans talking about other cultures, but it's
Mhm.
like that's the joke.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I remember hearing it and it's like there's no possible way you can forget that this man is British.
No,
But there was a
just
part
not
of
even
me
a
I
little
think
bit.
that had an experience when I heard it that was like, "Oh yeah, he's like British and he's commenting on Americans, which is what I am." So it was just, like a really just
Yeah.
interesting, yeah, yeah, just funny.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I do think too, and I don't know, I guess necessarily, but my guess would be that the largest demographic of fans of the 1975 are American women.
Yeah. I think that's a confident educated guess. Yeah.
And so I can't help but like kind of wonder if it's like specifically
Oh,
written
for sure.
knowing that his audience is
Mhm.
like mostly like what he's talking about, and like
Mhm.
not necessarily talking about in like a great way.
Yeah. Yeah, and then also at the same time it's like how many of these women are going to hear this song and like not realize. You know what I mean?
And like that's also what he's talking about. Like in the
Exactly.
song he's like
Yeah.
saying like you're kind of stupid. And then it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know, I do kind of love the like sort of self-deprecating humor that he like kind of employs just in all of his persona, but like in a lot of the lyrics in other tracks he's like being very self-deprecating. And I think in this track it's kind of like, he's like, well, you guys too though.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. I get what you mean. I'm adding nothing
Yeah.
just by being like, yeah, but I
No, but you
but
get it.
yeah, yeah, affirming.
Should we move on to If I Believe You?
Yeah. Yeah, so this one I remember being very intrigued the first time I heard it because at this point I was as much of a fan of the 1975 or I guess how I should say is I was into them enough that I was like watching some interviews. Because
Mm-hmm.
like some people, when you're into a band enough, you like watching reviews and stuff. So I knew a little bit about Maddie Healy, like just beyond the hearing the music, and I knew enough
Mm-hmm.
to know that I think he's an atheist. I think, or
Mm-hmm.
like at this point, I think. Um, and so I thought that this song was really interesting because of his opinions on religion and God, etc. Because it's kind of about, it's called If I Believe You, and it's very like if you didn't know, I think it kind of sounds like he it's kind of like religious sounding.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of the like just instrumentation, there's
Yeah,
and everything like
like
it
surface
sounds very
level.
like it sounds kind of gospel-y, like there's like
Yeah.
a choir in the background,
Yeah.
and like it is really like jazzy. Like it sounds like a like a gospel choir song.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he's talking about in the song, he's like, um I mean, there's literally a lyric that's like, I'm asking you, Jesus, show yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And like, you know, basically like begging for help, like especially in the beginning, he's just kind of like begging for help and like
Mm-hmm.
saying he's like struggling and he like needs help. And you know, it is very like religiously coded. And then yeah, if you kind of know anything about Matty Healy, or if you like really listen really closely, you realize he is not
Yeah.
like genuinely talking about God in any kind of good way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Part of it's just like, hey, like I guess if Jesus existed or whatever, like, can you listen? It like if you
Mm-hmm.
exist, can you help? Yeah. Will you? Maybe
Yeah,
not because you don't exist, but like if you do, yeah.
I specifically truly love this like part in this song where um he's like kind of taught, you know, like quote unquote talking to God in a very like ironic way, I guess, or like a self-aware farce type of way. But
Hmm.
he's like, you know, oh well then like you shouldn't have made me an
Oh
atheist.
yeah, that's this song. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's like,
Okay,
oh,
so
I'm a lesbian kiss, which is like, you know, obviously he's like, yeah, I'm like something you hate.
mm-hmm.
But it like kind
Okay.
of doesn't, you know, if you don't believe in God, then it doesn't even matter.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And it's also, and especially at the time, I was very intrigued by this idea of like someone who was very publicly making this kind of criticism, you know, doing it in such a way that he was. I admired the way that he did things and said things a lot at that age. Maybe too much, but you know,
Yeah,
I I was
yeah,
like in college, you know, and a young woman of the time, you know, and
yeah,
if that like makes any sense at all, but like
yeah. I get it.
yeah, and so I don't know. I think it's very intriguing, and I think that lyrically it's very creative, you know, as we have been saying, you know, for like the rest of the album as well. And also musically, I think it's quite beautiful.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's really powerful that he took a style which, you know, of like gospel y type music
Mhm.
and said, what if we made a gospel song even though we don't, you know, we don't believe in any of that and we don't really like, you know, want to actually make gospel music, but like, you know, gospel music is beautiful even
Mhm.
if you like don't believe the message or you don't like want to be associated with like the people making the music or whatever. But like, you know, I think it's really interesting that he was able to like say, okay, it's kind of like like a reclamation of it, you know,
Yeah.
like he's like, okay, this is a, you know, quote unquote gospel song, but like what if Matty Healy sang it?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So it's very creative. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, if regular church isn't isn't good for you, then you can go to Please Be Naked, the instrumental track. Just segue straight in.
Sure.
Um this song, okay, the reason I said it like that is I feel like this song is like equally as beautiful.
Mhm.
Like it is, it to me, Please Be Naked is I don't know, I almost wish that it wasn't called Please Be Please Be Naked.
Yeah.
Because to me it is like so like beautiful,
Yeah, I mean it's
like of a track.
romantic, I guess. Yeah.
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 And you know, I kind of think the reason he called it Please Be Naked is like he is going from like a churchy type song to a like, you know, holy in a different way
Yeah.
type song, you
Sure.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is the first true vibes track because the 1975 have like songs and
Yeah.
then they have like vibes and they have a little bit in between, and this one is like the first real vibes track. And every CD has them. Some have more than others. This one I feel like personally I think it was a good mix of vibes and songs. But I
Yeah.
I even like the vibe songs on this CD. You know, like you were just saying, this is like it's good. I like it a lot.
Oh, I love this song. I
Yeah.
think it's so good. And this is my favorite like vibe song by the 1975. I don't There aren't a lot of other ones that they do that are just kind of I don't know, maybe like whatever tracks. Um but like this one specifically is one that I actually like. I actually listen to it like on its own.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like I've actually put this song on a playlist before, like different playlists. And yeah, I think it paints a picture. I think the title does a lot to let you know what you should be thinking about. Um, and yeah, I don't have much else to say about it, but I think it's poignant. I think this is what I was trying to say, is that I think it's poignant that it goes from the church song into the sex song one
Yeah.
after the other. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. And then speaking of transitions, I
Yeah.
wrote a note about like a specific note about the
Mhm.
transition from this song into Lost My Head.
Mhm.
Cuz it has this really like significant, it's like you know, like one song goes into the other really really well.
Yeah.
I just put transition into this song and then the like okay like hand emoji.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah. And this one is another like it's kind of vibes but also a song. Yeah, it's mostly just vibes,
Yeah.
but it has lyrics. This is the I wrote down belly aches when you're in bed, relatable lyric.
Yeah. Mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can like imagine
Me
this one,
every
yeah.
day.
Exactly. He gets it.
Yeah, I think the first words that I said this morning when I woke up to Abe was my stomach.
Oh no. Okay, but like relatable though.
So yeah, I get
Oh.
it. Get it,
Yeah,
Maddie.
yeah. And
Um,
the maybe first or at least first like obvious kind of like lost my head. I don't know. There's like lost my head and then later there's like the ballad of me and my brain. So there's kind of, you know, stuff happening with the head, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Definitely head, brain, bad.
Yeah. Vibes.
Yeah, speaking of the ballad of me and my brain,
Yeah.
great song title.
Yeah.
Love that song title.
Right. I actually, so I really, really like this song. Like I
Yeah,
love the lyrics. I think it's so creative. It's like the vocals are amazing. I love the way that he sings this.
yeah.
Um but I have a criticism which is that I think that the intro is too long and it gets kind of obnoxious.
I agree with that. I
Yeah.
agree with that because like get to the good stuff. Like
Right?
the
Yeah.
lyrics and stuff are so good.
Right? I yeah,
Get
because
there.
other than that, I actually really like this song a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the lyrics are so good.
Yeah.
Um, and like just I can totally imagine like this as a poem, like the lyrics of this song as a poem, because it's like it's so fun. Like I love when there's like juxtaposition between like a really fun, like jaunty, like meter, and like it's kind of like, you know, and well, I think I've gone mad. Isn't that so sad? And it's like, well, if you think about it, yes,
Yeah.
it is sad to have like mental illness.
Yeah, yeah, and also just the way he specifically like screams it.
Yeah.
There's so much emotion in his voice in this one. Just like imagining him in the studio doing this, it's like it's yeah.
Yeah, and then he says something like goofy, like,
Right?
"Oh, I must have like left it at the
Yeah.
bar."
It's on a train or in a bar or
Yeah,
whatever,
it's in a
yeah. Flirting
Sainsbury's.
with the girls. Yeah.
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 Um,
Yeah, I really
yeah,
like it. I think it's very creative.
I do
That's my
too.
notes on that. Yeah.
Yeah, big fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then probably the song that if you have never heard this album, you still know
Mhm.
is Somebody Else, the next track.
Yeah, for sure. All right, another classic.
This is, I think, before, I don't know. I mean, because this song got really popular like when it was released as a single. Like if I remember correctly, like it was already like going crazy um before the album was fully released. Like when it was released as a single, it like got really big.
Mm,
I
I
think that's
think.
how I remember it
Yeah,
at
maybe.
least.
Yeah.
Because I remember people like because I kind of knew the 1975. I was like paying attention, like I knew them from the previous album, which they had gotten decently popular from the first album too. But I remember like it was like on the radio, like this song, and like Love
Yeah.
Me wasn't really on the
Right, which
radio.
is like criminal, but
Honestly, yeah.
yeah.
But I remember like this was like on the radio, and like I said, this album came out when I was a senior in high school. So this was like on the radio like my senior year of high school. So it brings me like a lot of memories of like senior year of high school. Um, so this song specifically because it was like popular outside of just like what I specifically was listening to. I feel like it carries even more memories because it like they like played this song on the radio when I was like with my friends. They like this song was playing like in malls when I was like at the
Yeah.
mall with my friends.
Yeah.
Like it was,
Yeah.
I don't know, it was just around.
Yeah, which
And
is incredible for a song that's so, dare I say, emo. It's so
yeah,
like feelings. It's so,
this is I'm not gonna say the most emo song on this album, but it's almost.
yeah.
It is pretty emo, and I really latched onto that because I was like very into music like that. Like this appealed to me a lot
Mhm.
when I was in high school. Like when it came out, I was like, I get this song. This song gets me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially like, 17, 18-year-old me was really like for whatever reason relating to relating to the
No,
song,
I
even though now
totally
I like
get.
look back and I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
No, I totally get it. It's like when you think about certain songs, oh my gosh, there's like this meme that's like, what was middle school me connecting to like so hard in
Lips
uh
of an Angel by
yeah, or like, oh my gosh, the secondhand serenade song, it's like
oh my
what
god.
what was that really like sparking in my brain at that, but like this, like I
Yeah.
get what you're saying. It's like that is like, what about, I guess for me, I was 18, right? Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, why was I feeling this so hard, but I was. Yeah.
And like specifically, I mean like obviously like most of the song it's like, basically like we're broken up, but like I don't want you to like date anybody else either, you
Mhm.
know? But then there's like this other part that's like fuck that, get money.
Yeah, get someone you love. Yeah, that one. Yeah.
And it's just like, yep. Like I
Yeah,
get
we're
that
getting
part
over
too.
it. Yeah, we're getting over it. We're having a little bit of a hard time, but we're getting over it. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I love this song. I still love this song. I have never once this song has never come on my like shuffle or like whatever, and I've like skipped it.
Oh, no, for
Like every
sure.
time
A lot
I'm
of these
like,
are non-skips for me, if not all of them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, most of them, but like this one for sure, and which is rare for like a slow song, especially in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Uh-huh. Mhm. I get what you
But
mean.
like every time I'm like, yeah, this hits.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Great
Speaking of
song. We
songs
saw
that
it
hit,
live, loved it. Yeah,
yeah.
loving someone.
Yeah. Revolutionary? Maybe. For me.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, because it was like, I mean, it's his first. Has he? Well, I'm sure he has. Yeah. I'm like thinking out loud here. Okay. This was the first like commentary on how we are treating the kids and sexuality, basically.
Yeah.
Like at its very basic. Because it's like,
Yeah.
instead of, punishing people for things that are natural or that they can't help, or, trapping people in this construct that we've created, we should just be loving people. We should just, you know,
Yeah.
if
No,
it
and you
was
know what? He's
safer on the
right.
ground, we wouldn't be in a boat.
Yeah.
Like,
He was right. He
yeah,
was right.
yeah,
Yeah, I love that this album really does like, and not that it like tackles a lot of like difficult topics, necessarily, because it's not like he is like making a big like political statement really in like any of these songs. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think. Not in the way I think that other albums or other artists have done at other points in time. But I do think that like he really does do a lot of like observational like
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
stuff that I think is really, it's, I don't know. I think
It's
because
social
he's not saying,
commentary. Yeah.
yeah, I guess that's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like saying, oh, like, I don't know. I guess to me this doesn't like read the same way as like a really political song, you know? I'm
Yeah.
like trying to even think of an example of what I mean, but like I don't know. This isn't like a Pink Floyd album, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh. But it has
Um
big, I mean, if you look at the lyrics, it's got this was another example of how I guess the word could be enamored of this that I was, like as an 18-year-old in college, and it's big words, it's very smart, it's very relevant, and I admired it a lot, and I thought that he was saying
mhm.
things in a really creative, artistic way, but also there were things that if you listened, it's like, oh, this is important. He's saying something that is actually a really good point, and it is very much like a social commentary and a like, hey, I think the way that we're doing things and the way that we're treating kids is like pretty messed up. But like it's
Yeah.
also it's beautiful.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I love it because I do think it is sophisticated. Like
Mhm.
like simply it is sophisticated. But I think also like sort of the, I guess, I don't know, the punchline maybe is that he's like trying to be really sophisticated and pretentious like on purpose to like be that character. And I think that's sort of like a as a joke type of thing, but also like so that you actually pay attention.
Yeah, I think I get where you're going. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if he was totally earnest with like this message, it would be kind of like, okay,
Mm.
but like the way he does it is he isn't all the way earnest with it until you like really think about it, and then you're like, "Oh my God, yeah."
Mhm.
Though.
Yeah.
I don't yeah.
I
I don't
think I
know. And
get that. Yeah.
I guess I don't really know like exactly what his intent was, but to me it reads as like a haha, what if we stopped doing that haha as a joke, but not actually though.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
a fair analysis of it. Yeah. But yeah, really awesome, really great track. I love it a lot.
And
Yeah.
next we get into the title track. I like it when you sleep, for you are so beautiful yet so unaware of it.
Yeah. Yeah, mostly vibes. Again, another vibe song, some lyrics. Um
Mhm.
it's I wrote notes here. I can like kind of imagine it in my head how it goes, but it's long enough to be two tracks. It's like it gets like more intense with like different vibes in
Yeah.
like the second part of it, and it's got these distorted lyrics that for whatever reason, if anyone else did this, I would think it was really obnoxious, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
actually enjoy it, and I don't understand what he's saying. He says like Venice Beach or something. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, can you picture it?
Uh Venice Beach. I don't know the part
To
that
me,
says
it
Venice.
sounds like he's saying Venice Beach, but it's got these vocals like in the later part of it that are these really deep, like distorted vocals, and it's like repeating the same thing. That's like it's like part of the vibes. It's like used as an instrument essentially.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I do kind of know, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, a vibes track, but that I listen to. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I don't have much to say about it necessarily
Mhm.
besides the fact that I get why it's the title track, cuz it like the vibes of it are the vibes of the album, I think. Like in the most like thesis statement type of way. It's like whatever this track is doing, the rest of the album is like kind of also doing, but like in different other ways.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to put it.
In terms of vibe.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
and
yeah,
then
the sound.
Yeah, the other one that you probably know if you don't know this album.
Exactly. This is the main one that I was thinking that is like one of the main, dare I say, another classic from this album.
Yeah,
Because it like it played in Safeway where I worked in during summers in college, and
yeah,
so like
it's a popular,
yeah,
yeah.
this one was like the one that I heard the most outside of, my internal bubble of just knowing every 1975 song, Um
Yeah,
so like I knew that this was one that was like on the radio,
yeah,
But another one that's like, yeah, I think it deserves to be on the radio. I think it's really good. This album just has a
yeah.
lot of top tracks.
It really does. I mean, this is one, it's a bop. Just like
Mhm.
it just grooves. It's a bop. It's so fun. But
It's got a
also it
guitar
has like
solo.
it does.
Yeah. Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
it also has those like really like self-aware sort of um like faux pretentious lyrics. He's doing something sophisticated, but it's like a catchy pop song.
Mhm. Yeah, but it's very self-aware, like he knows what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you know that he's in on the joke, I guess.
Right?
Like he
Yeah.
knows that like saying a simple Epicurean philosophy is like
Yeah.
he knows.
My note that I wrote actually was he just really seems both romantic and intellectual.
Yeah, and that's what the bitches love.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost annoying how much he seems to know it? It's like
Yeah.
this is the formula. He's got it.
Yeah, he's like, y'all want a pop song? And then
Yeah.
he like does it and he's like, yeah, I bet you're gonna put that on the radio, huh?
Yeah.
And then they
And then they
do,
did. Yeah. I bet the ladies are going to love it,
But
and
it
then they did.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was yeah, love it. And now we're getting close. We're getting close to the end. This must be my dream.
Yeah. My note, can
What do
I
you
just say my note on this? Or I have a few actually, but I wrote one that says saxophone. Yeah, I gotta have that.
Of course.
Of course, you cannot have a 1975 album without that saxophone.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. And yeah, I feel like this song is like it's like you if you're not paying attention, and I think this is a common theme that's like, oh, if you're not paying attention, you're like, oh, this is kind of a sexy song, or like this is kind of like a like, ooh, that sax solo.
Right? Yeah.
Um, but then if you like pay attention, you're like, whoa, okay, so he's not happy though.
Yeah, uh-huh. And I realize actually cuz I actually looked up the lyrics for this one. I'm kind of like reading them a little bit as we talk.
Yeah,
And there are a lot of songs on this album that I know a lot of lyrics to, and there are other ones like this one that I feel like I sing along to, but I don't actually know that many words. And I think I'm going to blame it on the fact that his British accent is like so thick and borderline incomprehensible. Um
when most people sing, their accent kind of like goes
yeah.
away. Not him.
Not him. Not at all. Yeah. So yeah, but I did know some, but I totally get like what you mean, where it's like, and I feel like it's like that for a lot of these songs is if you don't know the words or you don't know very many and you just kind of hear it, it has amazing vibes every single one, and some of the words that you
Mhm.
hear you're like, "Oh, yeah." And then if you actually really listen, if you read along and listen, you're like, "Oh, this is maybe not exactly what it appears to be on the surface level, I guess."
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
got layers.
Yeah.
And yeah, I appreciate that. I like that it's I think a lot, not a lot, some pop music is very surface level. And if I'm gonna get really into some pop music, it needs to not be like really superficial. And I do think this does a good job of being pop music that is like a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
There's more going on.
Just pretentious enough for me to enjoy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Tell me about Paris.
Paris. I wrote a couple notes for this. The first one was I think it's funny that there's an America and a Paris. I don't know. We've got the Americans, we've got the Paris. I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah.
another one that sounds incredibly romantic at surface level, and then you listen and
Yes.
it's like, oh, you're kind of sad, aren't you? Like Mr. Serotonin Man, lend me a gram.
Yeah.
Classic. Yeah.
Yeah. I I love that, it's kind of like a romance song, but then if you listen to it, it's like really fucked up.
Right? Yeah,
Um
exactly.
yeah, and it's like not just like the relationship is like messed up, even though it is, and it's like not just like her being messed up, even though she kind of is, and it's like not just him being messed up, even though he is. It's like all of it is just like, crazy, and then he's just like, oh, like Paris, the city of love, haha. And you're like, oh my god, that sounds awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I like this song. It's catchy.
Yeah,
It's
I do
fun.
too. Oh yeah. I like this song a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quirky? That's what I wrote with a question mark.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're getting into the real emo stuff.
Oh yeah. Nana
Um,
is to me easily lyrically the saddest song this band has ever released. It is
it's so
like it
sad.
is like the most likely skip on this album for me because I'm just like this is sad. This is so sad.
Yeah.
It's very sweet. It's
Yes.
incredibly sweet and it's very like I mean, it's very very sweet, very nice, but it's so sad.
It is extremely sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the real emo.
Mhm. Yeah. It's
Um,
completely I mean, honestly, it's completely nothing like any other song on this album. It completely different like lyrical content. Like
yeah, and
yeah.
I feel like that's part of the reason it like hits so hard is because you're like vibing. Like when you
Yeah.
listen to this album, you've just been vibing for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you just get like punched in the face with like sad grandma stuff.
Yeah. It's so
And you're like,
sad.
"Oh, okay. Oh my god, I love my grandma. Stop."
Right? Yeah. It's very sad. Yeah. I don't
Um,
even know if there's anything else I
I
want to
don't
say
know that
about
there's
it.
anything else to
Yeah.
say,
I mean,
but it is a good
it's
song.
beautiful. It's very sweet, and it's very sweet
Yeah.
that it's on the album and yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
then
finally,
yeah.
we've made it.
Yes.
She lays down.
Yeah. I thought it was an interesting choice to put like two slow songs, like two sad slow songs right next to each other at the end because if you're really
At the
not
end.
paying attention, you kind of don't even really notice that like it's two different songs if you're like really not paying attention, which is fine.
Yeah.
Um I think it's a good ending song cuz it sounds like it was recorded like in one take. He just like came out into the studio and was like, "Okay, I have a song," and like played it and then was like, "Okay, that was it." And it's kind of back to like a lot of the sad yet romantic yet sad energy from like the rest of the album, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This is interesting. I always think it's a really interesting choice, and a lot of bands do this to put like the sad slow song at the very end.
I want to
Um,
say that part of the reason, and this could be like kind of right or mostly wrong, I don't know, is is why a lot of the bops are more at the beginning is because when albums were on like records, for example,
yeah.
you have like side A and side B. And so you'd put like all the hits on side A and then you would have like, the B side on the B side or whatever. Or that's like for singles is the B side. But, I
Yeah.
think that's partly why a lot of the like slower songs are on the other side of the album, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, it still makes
It's
sense
just a
too. Like, you don't.
tradition, I guess. I
A
don't
lot
know.
of people will listen from top to bottom, as they
Mhm.
should, in my opinion. But people will do that, and if you put all of the like sleepers at the beginning, people won't get to the
Yeah.
real bop, because
Mhm.
they'll get bored and leave.
Exactly.
Um, so like I get it, but I'm also like, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, um, to listen because it is a journey. Like this album is pretty long. And to get to the end and like this is the end, it's kind of like, whoa, okay, what did I do? Like it's hard to think back. Like once you're listening to She Lays Down, it's kind of hard, I think, to think back to Love Me.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, how did we get from there to here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It makes it feel like it was a real journey of an album.
That's true. Yeah, it does. This does. I mean, it is a long album, but it does make it seem like even it's a long album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I wrote songs for and about sad girls.
Mood. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I did
Yeah.
have one little note at the very end because I was like, I don't know how far we're going with this, and I have like the bonus track CD. Like that's what I've always listened to and known. And so I actually
Yeah.
had to look up like what's the final track on this album, and it is She Lays Down because the one that I owned, when I listened to was like more. And so I had notes about How to Draw. Do you remember that one? The bonus track?
Oh, yeah.
It's another like mostly vibes. It's pretty. I
Yeah.
think it's really cute. I'm like, oh, I wonder like what this is about. It'd be like fun to
Yeah.
like ask him. I thought it's really cute. It's another like mostly vibes track, yeah, for a little like bonus track thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question as we kind of wrap up now that we've discussed,
Yes.
you know,
Uh-huh.
when you listen to this for the show to like take notes or whatever, did you listen on Spotify? Did you listen to your CD? Did you listen, like, how did you listen? Do you remember?
I actually think that I listened to the CD because I think I put it in Justin has like a stereo system thing. He has like a, oh my god, how many? I don't think it's 500, is it? It's a literally hundreds CD player. Like it's a CD
Oh my god.
player thing that holds hundreds of CDs, and he
Wow.
has it hooked up, to like a tuner thing and like speakers. And so I listened to it through that, I think, and I like laid in bed. I had vibes
Good.
going. I was like, I'm
That's pretty good. Yeah.
chilling out and sitting close to these speakers and like taking notes.
That's
Yeah.
the way to do it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I listened to this like a while ago to like for this, I own this album on vinyl.
I
And I
want
own it
to. I
I
haven't been able to find it.
specifically I don't remember where I found it. Um I think just like at the record store in Bellingham is when I got it. But
Mm.
it is specifically baby pink vinyl.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I want one.
And it's so good. It's just like
Vibes, mood.
it's so vibes, yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And so I remember I listened to it on vinyl, and like my vinyl setup um in my study. I have my green chair, and I like put the lights low, and I like listened, and I sat, and I was like, yes.
Yeah. Good to know we both understood the assignment. We
Yeah,
were like, yeah,
yeah,
we have to like have some vibes. I don't think I own any 1975 on vinyl, which I really want to because to me, I don't know what it is, but there's certain bands that I'm like, yeah, I should listen to this on vinyl, like I should own this. And that's one of the bands. I think the 1975
yeah.
would translate really well to vinyl.
Let me tell you,
Yeah.
it really does. I have
Yeah.
the first album, this album, and A Brief Inquiry into Online
Mm.
Relationships
Mhm.
on vinyl, and all three huge vibes.
Yeah.
Huge vibes.
Yeah.
Highly
Well, I
recommend.
guess maybe my final thoughts for this album is after we've talked about everything, I think some, stuff that stands out. We have the self-aware, we have the quirky, we have the intellectual, we have the romantic, we have the emo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's my final. It really like combines all of those things.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced that there's any pop punk. But
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah. Like what was yeah,
like what's the pop punk track? Like
right?
nothing. I don't.
Yeah.
But that's okay. It doesn't need to be pop punk.
Yeah,
Just
it
because
doesn't.
people who like, I think the thing is that a lot of people who like pop punk, including us, like the 1975.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's left over from high school when I had, slightly different musical taste.
Yeah.
Because I discovered this band when I was not into pop punk yet. and I was
Okay.
like kind of getting
Yeah.
into it.
Kind of
And
same. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I heard a band, R5, who was my favorite band, like the first part of high school when I was more into like poppy stuff, and they played a cover of Girls, and then I looked up the original, and I think the first song I heard, I might have listened to Girls first probably, and then I listened to Chocolate, and I was like, ooh, I
Yeah.
like this. This is groovy,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
really was just like that. That's where it started. And so,
Yeah.
but they just kind of stuck with me, even though now I don't really think I am a fan or like really listen to any other music that's like this. But for whatever reason, they have stuck in my top, I want to say like top 10, if even smaller list. They've stuck up there for this entire time, all these years. They're still up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
a very good band. The vibes are very good. I really think that like if you need like cuz sometimes I don't know. I mean, I like heavy music and like I know we both do. Like we listen to like stuff a lot heavier than the 1975.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just need something like a little bit more vibey, a little bit like less
Yeah.
abrasive.
Right? And less
And that's okay.
yeah, cuz this is the least guitar cuz they have guitars, they have songs with guitars, of course.
But
But
it's like not, yeah.
yeah, they're not like primarily guitar driven, which is most like the majority of the music that I like and that I am a fan of is guitar driven music. And this is like I wouldn't necessarily define it as that.
Yeah.
It's got a lot more, like other electronic-y things going on. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like it fulfills the musical need of whatever it fulfills, like in my brain. And it just is
Yeah.
one of the puzzle pieces. Yeah.
Big fan. Big fan
Yeah.
of the 1975. Big fan of this album. This, like
Big
I said,
fan.
is my favorite
Yeah.
album by them to date, and I stand by that.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that we listened to this and talked about it in heavy detail.
Me too. Yeah, I love it. It was super fun. I love doing this kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I always love when we get to talk about music because I know that we like this conversation that we just had was absolutely a conversation we could have just had like
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
on a normal day.
Yeah.
So I kind of love like making us do it because it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Anyways, well, until next time, I love you.
I love you too.
Goodbye.
Bye.